Jai Shri Ram. Today, the third day of the month of Karkidagam. Yesterday, we saw how sage Vishwamitra took Rama and Lakshmana along with him to fight the Rakshasa of Marichu and Subahu. Both the brothers ensured that the yajna was conducted without any hiccups, and they ensured they defeated the demon Marichu and Subahu. Sage Vishwamitra was happy to see Lord Rama beginning his journey to establish Dharma in this world. Today, we will move forward and read the next part of Balakanda. One fine morning, Vishwamitra communicated to Rama a great event that was to take place at Mithila, the capital of the sage king Janak. There was again a wonderful bow exhibited in that city. Many talented people from far and near would gather there. Several inmates of Siddhashrama were getting ready to accompany the presiding sage to that city of culture. It would be very appropriate for the princess of Ayodhya to go along with the Ashramites to participate in that conspicuous gathering. The pupils submitted to the will of the preceptor. The party set out on journey and proceeded. The presence of Rama and Lakshmana in the company added untold joy to one and all. When they neared Mithila, they could see its panoramic view. But in contrast with it, in its outskirts stood a deserted ashrama. Signs of its once beautiful and flourishing conditions were also in evidence. Inquired by Rama, the sage gave an account of it. This was long ago, the loveliest abode of Maharishi Gautama. His partner Ahalya was a woman of exquisite beauty. Smitten with her enticing form, Indra, the king of gods, managed to have an illicit connection with her, disguising himself like her husband Gautama. But a true husband found out the fact and cursed the male to become a eunuch and female to become a stone. In order to forget this unholy incident, Gautama abandoned this place and retired into Himalayas. While departing, he predicted that in due time Rama would come to set right this predicament and that he would also return then from Himalayas. As the narration was going on, Rama, by chance, trod on a stone which vanished forthwith, and a graceful lady, a graceful woman emerged instead. That was the accused Ahalya. Presently, Gautama also arrived as he had planned. The purified Maharishi couple paid elaborate homage to Rama and his brother. This incident represents a cosmic fact. The Jivatma or the individual self is in the fallen state which is as bad that of a stone. By reviving contact, the god and Jivatma gets back to the original pure state. The modern science tells the same tale in the language familiar to it. The plan of nature is to emerge from that of the insentient to that of the sentient. Again, mythology explains the same phenomena in its own way. Virgin Parvati, the one born of stone, performs ceaseless austerity to regain union with Shiva, the pure consciousness. In other words, nature, which is apparently in a materialized state, tries back to get back to the original spiritual state. Vishwamitra's group quietly entered the extensive compound, got up for the sacrificial rites of Mithila. His first impression was that the concourse was provided for in plenty. That was a sign of material prosperity. Secondly, the assembled people were all educated and cultured. They were drawn in from far and near. The priests were all versed with the lore of Yaga. Satananda, the eldest son of Gautama by Ahalya, served as the chief priest to the king of Janaka, King Janaka. This priest was the first to receive Vishwamitra. The sage communicated to Satananda the happy reunion of Leta's mother and father and their devoted worship of Rama, who was divine dispeller of the curse of Gautama. The son was beside him with joy at this auspicious development. King Janak was delighted to hear the arrival of the spiritual giant Vishwamitra at his sacrificial theatre. He represented himself before the sage and expressed his gratitude for the former's deigning to sanctify the sacrifice with the holy presence. Presently, the king's attention was inquisitively drawn towards the heavenly handsome lads found among the hermits. The visiting sage introduced them and spoke about their youthful service in Siddhashrama. He concluded that on their own initiative, he had brought them offering to the show the wonderful bow kept in the palace of Mithila. The implication was that both to the speaker and the spoken to. At that stage, the topic was kept in abeyance. A sacrifice performed in India in those days had its four features as the motive. Firstly, the things made use of in and the ritual aspect indicated the material prosperity of the country. Secondly, the social system became evident from the way in which the populace participated in the function. Thirdly, wisdom and culture, the acme of human life, were effectively imparted in the course of sacrifice. Fourthly, each yajna had a definite object to achieve forthwith. For example, King Dashratha's horse sacrifice culminated as Putra Kameshwari Yajna, or the sacrifice performed for progeny. The cultural enlightenment brought about by the chief priest Satananda at the sacrificial rites of Janak was very significant. He spoke of the possibilities of attainment of man, basing his theme solely on the life sketch of the sage Vishwamitra, who fortunately was bodily present there. For this reason, the task was all the more exacting. Any irregularity in the delineation would meet with a consequential reprobation. The gist of the dialogue was as follows. Vishwamitra started his career as a model king. His relationship with the subjects was sound. But his encounter with the sage Vashishta was fraught with the disaster. Without for a hunt, the overbearing ruler became envious of the hermit's over-abundant hospitality to himself and to his unwieldy host. Finding that a divine milk cow in Vashishta's ashrama was the cause of the inexhaustible supply of provisions, he requisitioned that animal with royal authority. But the demand was not considered by the holy men. This issue led to a warfare in which the king was put to rout and humiliation. Vishwamitra discovered that spiritual prowess was superior to human force. He therefore resorted to austerity in order to acquire the supramundane power. A prolonged self-discipline helped him become a rishi and then a Raja Rishi. Still, he was far below a Brahma Rishi in spiritual attainments. But on that score, his spirit of perseverance did not cool down. Rather, it was steadily on the increase. Now, a celestial damsel known as Menka lured him into conjugality and begot a babe by him. At this juncture, Vishwamitra realized his folly and his spiritual fall. So he restarted his penance, hazardous as it was. Austerity is the only remedy for all delinquency. The kingly aspirant plunged into vehemently and had his reward. He rose again to the heights of excellence. Still, he had not yet transcended the possibility of a setback. This time, Ramba, the heavenly damsel, came to tempt him. But the budding Maharishi burst forth into anger, which was harmful as lust, if not more. So he fell again. After an acute repentance for the slip, the struggling sage made one more strenuous attempt and got all over the human imperfections. Because of this indomitable perseverance, he became a Brahma Rishi, the last word on human perfection. His life is an object lesson in ceaseless effort and attainment of divinity within the brief span of a single human birth. The sage Vishwamitra remained a fully balanced spectator to all that was recounted of him. Not a muscle on his face moved in the reaction of the accounts, blameworthy as well as praiseworthy. That equanimity was in itself a sign of a holy man, having transcended all mundane limitations. The last phase of the horse sacrifice was the selection of a suitable groom to Sita of heavenly beauty, whom the king Janak had obtained as a boon from Mother Earth. Exceedingly trying was the test of the worth of the prince who would sue for the charming Sita's hand in betrothal. The heavy bow of great god Shiva came as a prize to the saintly King Janak. Whoever lifted, bent and strung and unwindly, bow became the partner of the priceless princess of Mithila. Many a prince dared not try the test which was humanly impossible. Now, at the request of sage Vishwamitra, the great and godly bow was dragged onto a suitable chariot to the assembly. The huge crowd gazed at the stupendous bow with amazement. The royal suitors, in particular, were dazed at the impossible test. The sage expectantly looked at Rama. The obedient pupil bowed to the master and gracefully walked towards the bow of Shiva. There was a hushed silence among the audience. With ease, the divine youth lifted up the bow. Wonder was writ on the faces of all. He strung the bow elegantly. Wonder in the audience developed into a seething amazement. He planted the one end of the mighty bow on the ground and with both the arms gave pressure on the other end at the top. With a boom, the bow broke. A thrill pierced the hearts of all present. Instantly it transformed itself into the adoration of the hero. With an eternal bliss beaming on the face, the King Janaka stepped forward and proclaimed, "The venerable Rama wins the hands of the celestial Sita, the treasure of my heart." A father talking about the marriage of his daughter, knowing she will be getting married to the divine power of Narayana, the avatar of Narayana, avatar of Lord Vishnu, Prabhu Ram. Messengers were sent post haste to Ayodhya to inform the happy tidings to King Dashratha and to invite him to celebrate the marriage of his son. A deed of valor by the type performed by Rama was in those days a mark of attainment of maturity and a fitness of conjugality. Meticulous perseverance of the fertility of the race was considered a holy act. The weakling and impeccable were not allowed to procreate puni progeny. Evidence to this rigidity may be found in some part of the nature. The male beasts by fight among themselves and the strongest is permitted to mate the queen here. In a herd of elephants, the strongest male mates the female. This is how the vigor of the species is maintained. The modern man has a lesson to learn in this respect. Dashrata, who was at first unwilling to be part with his pet son, now realized the excellence that had emerged from that separation. Royally invited by Janak, he hastened with his retinue to Mithila, anxious to meet his distinguished son. The august arrival of one mighty monarch at the capital of another led to an all round jubilee, culminating in the marriage of Sita to Prabhu Ram. Taking advantage of the rare occasion, three cousins of Sita were also given in marriage to Bharata, Lakshmana, and Shatrughna. Dashrath was beside himself with joy at the development of things. The sage Vishwamitra's role in Ramayana comes to an end here. It seems as if he had laid malign hands on the domestic affairs of the king Dashratha, but a more act than what he did could not be expected. What he did was for the welfare of all concerned. He took charge of the adult sons Rama and Lakshmana and handed them back to the parent, fully trained and competent to discharge public duties. The sage then retired into the Himalayas to be merged in beatitude. So, here we'll come to the end of today's episode. Lord Rama gets married to Devi Sita. From here, we will continue the story of Ramayana. We'll be back tomorrow and enjoy this beautiful epic which has been given as a gift to those who have been born on this Vedic Bharata Bhumi. Jai Shri Ram.